This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing in this video should be considered financial advice.
In 1971, the global financial system changed forever. Most people never noticed it. But since that moment, debt exploded. Housing became unaffordable. Inflation slowly destroyed savings, and the middle class began disappearing.
This is the hidden story behind modern money. For decades, money worked differently.
After World War II, the US dollar became the world's reserve currency. But there was one important rule. Every dollar was backed by gold. Countries trusted America because dollars could always be exchanged for real gold reserves. At first, the system worked perfectly.
Factories grew, jobs increased, families bought homes, and the middle class expanded rapidly.
America became the richest country in history. But underneath the surface, problems were growing.
During the 1960s, government spending exploded. The United States was funding wars, social programs, and global military influence.
But there was one major issue. America began printing far more dollars than it actually had in gold. Foreign countries noticed. France became one of the first nations to challenge the system. They demanded real gold in exchange for their dollars. Other countries followed. Slowly, America's gold reserves started disappearing.
The world began losing confidence in the dollar, and the financial system was approaching collapse. Then came August 15th, 1971. President Richard Nixon appeared on national television.
He announced that the United States would temporarily suspend the convertibility of dollars into gold. Temporary. But the system never returned. Overnight, the dollar changed forever. For the first time in modern history, money was no longer tied to a physical asset. The dollar was now backed only by trust. Most Americans had no idea what had just happened. But economists understood immediately the modern fiat money era had begun.
Once money was no longer tied to gold, there were almost no limits. Governments could borrow more. Banks could create more credit.
Debt expanded faster than ever before. And slowly, society changed.
Housing prices exploded. Entire generations suddenly realized they could no longer afford homes like their parents once did. College tuition skyrocketed. Young people entered adult life already buried in debt. Healthcare became insanely expensive. One medical emergency could destroy years of savings. Meanwhile, the cost of living kept rising everywhere. And for millions of families, financial pressure slowly became normal.
Meanwhile, wages failed to keep up with inflation. People worked harder, but somehow fell further behind. Paychecks disappeared faster every year. Savings stopped growing. And slowly, people started depending on debt just to survive. Credit cards filled the gap. Loans filled the gap. Debt became part of everyday life. Credit cards became normal. Car payments became normal. Student loans became normal. Monthly payments quietly took control of modern life. People stopped buying things with money they already had. Instead, they borrowed from the future. And over time, millions became trapped inside a cycle they could never fully escape. The system quietly transformed citizens into borrowers. Most people never noticed it happening. Debt became normal. Stress became normal. Working endlessly just to keep up became normal. And the financial system grew stronger every time people borrowed more money.
For previous generations, saving money was enough. A single income could support an entire family. People bought homes without massive debt. Children grew up in stable neighborhoods, and many believed life would continue improving forever. But slowly, the rules of the economy changed, and most people never realized it.
And while ordinary people struggled, something else was happening quietly in the background. The financial system itself was becoming bigger, more powerful, and more centralized than ever before. Banks grew larger. Corporations grew larger. Governments borrowed unimaginable amounts of money, and the global economy became dependent on endless growth, endless debt, and endless money creation.
Most people believe the system would continue forever, but history tells a different story. Every major empire in history eventually faced the same problem: too much debt, too much money printing, and a currency slowly losing trust. From ancient Rome to modern economies, the pattern repeated again and again.
And today, many experts fear the world may be approaching another turning point. Global debt has reached record levels. Housing has become unaffordable. Entire generations feel financially trapped, and trust in institutions continues to weaken. But perhaps the biggest question is this: what happens when people finally stop believing in the system itself? Because money only works if people believe in it. The modern financial system depends entirely on confidence. Confidence in banks, confidence in governments, confidence that tomorrow will still work like today. And throughout history, when that confidence disappeared, everything changed. For decades, the world operated on a simple assumption that the system would always survive, that governments would always stabilize crises, that banks would always remain trustworthy. But every financial system in history eventually reaches a moment when reality can no longer be hidden.
Today, many people work harder than ever before, yet feel further away from financial freedom. Wages struggle to keep up. Housing becomes unreachable. Debt continues growing, and millions slowly realize the rules of the game may have changed long ago.
And perhaps the most dangerous part is how normal everything still appears on the surface. The lights remain on. The markets still open every morning. People continue spending money, but underneath it all, the global financial system grows more fragile every year. History shows that great economic shifts rarely happen slowly. They arrive suddenly: a market crash, a banking panic, a currency crisis, and once trust disappears, events move faster than anyone expects. And maybe that's the biggest illusion of modern money. People are told that working harder guarantees wealth, but the system often rewards something very different: ownership, assets, information, access to the game itself. In the modern economy, those who own assets often become richer automatically, while those who depend only on wages fight a system built around inflation, and every year, the gap grows larger.
The modern financial system was never just about money. It was about power. Because money controls governments, money controls markets, money controls opportunity, and the people who understand the system play by completely different rules. The question is no longer whether the system changed. The question is, who truly benefits from it? Hidden capital. See what others miss.